What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, guys, we are going to be going over the differences between the Canon EFS 10 to 18mm lens versus the Canon 11 to 22mm lens. I'm also going to be dividing this content up into chapters, so if you're looking for something specific or you want to see the overall review of both the lenses, you'll be able to either look at something specific or you can watch the whole video. These lenses are typically used in real estate photography, so I'm going to be going over the actual differences in both the specs, the prices, and taking it to a new build that I just photographed and showing you the actual differences when photographing a room without any editing at all. If you're finding any of this information useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe to this channel, you become a shareholder in the channel and in my company. That means that when I start doing polls, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, you're gonna play a direct role in what lenses we buy and the direction we take both the channel and the company. But with that being said, guys, let's dive right into the video. So I'm going to be using the Canon M50 for this video, and if you're familiar with the Canon M50, then you know that the 11 and 22mm lens sticks perfectly right onto the camera, while the 10 and 18 lens is an EFS lens, so which means that you're going to need to get the EFM mount to be able to use it on the Canon M50. So starting off in the prices category, the Canon 11mm to 22mm lens is going to be the more expensive option at $399. If you're looking at the Canon 10 and 18mm lens, you're going to be looking at $299. However, if you're going to be using this for the Canon M50, then you're going to need the EFM mount to be able to mount it on your camera. So if you're getting an EFM mount, you can get one cheap on Amazon anywhere from around $30 all the way to the actual one that Canon makes, which is around $170. Personally, for me, I got the lens mount that Canon makes because I do so much real estate photography that it's almost more beneficial to get a mount, because after reading some reviews, if you're looking for a cheap fix, the $30 ones sound like a pretty good idea, but if you're looking to use it for actual photography multiple times, then springing for the more expensive one's probably your best idea. So if you're looking to run this setup on your M50, you're looking at starting around $470 here with the 10 and 18, and about $300 for the 11 and 22. I say starting out because you're gonna be looking at different polarizers and lens hoods for both these lenses, but starting out, that's the price you're gonna start to actually put this lens on your camera. So diving into the specs of the 11 and 22, it has a focal length of 11 and 22mm and a maximum aperture of 4 to 5.6. The weight is approximately 220 grams, and the filter size is about 55 diameters. Next, we're going to get into the specs of the 10 and 18mm lens. Moving on to the 10 and 18mm lens, this lens is 10 and 18mm with a maximum aperture of 4.5 to 5.6. The filter size is 67 meters in diameter, and the maximum weight for it is 240 grams, but with the EFM mount attached to it, it's going to sit at 321 grams. So obviously there's more information on both these lenses, but for the purpose and length of this video, I didn't want to do too far of a deep dive into it. If you want more information, I'm going to include a screenshot of the 11 and 22mm lens specifications here, and then the 10 and 18mm lens specifications right after that. So now we're going to get into the size of the lenses. Clearly you can see that the 11 and 22mm lens is smaller than the 10 and 18, and even on the mount, it is much more impressive in size. But to give you guys a better idea of the actual size of lenses, I decided to give you guys a real world example. Now compared to the Apple, you can see that the 11 22mm is roughly the size of a small Granny Smith apple. Now comparing the 10 and 18mm lens when it's going to be on its EFM mount, you're going to see that it is quite larger than the Apple itself. Overall, looking at the size of the lens on the camera with the 10 and 18 is pretty impressive in comparison to the 11 and 22. Now let's head over this new build, and I'm going to show you guys the difference in photographing a smaller room and a bathroom while using these two different lenses. Alright guys, so here you are on one of my client's new builds. I'm going to be testing the 11 to 22mm lens first, and then we're going to get into the 10 and 18mm lens. I'm going to go to one or two different rooms that are smaller so you can see how wide the lens actually gets. So let's go jump into it. So these are the photos from the Canon 11 to 22mm lens without me holding the camera, just sitting on the tripod itself. Now these are the photos from the Canon 10 to 18mm lens sitting on the tripod in the exact same position. But wait, I don't know if you noticed, but the EFM mount has a little screw on the bottom of it here so that you can actually set the camera a little bit farther back on the tripod. So this is the actual photos when using the EFM mount as opposed to just mounting the camera straight to the tripod. So overall, guys, after reviewing both these lenses, I would probably recommend going with the 10 and 18mm lens if you're going to be doing real estate photography, just because getting the widest angle possible is always nicer, and typically you're not going to be going into the upper ranges of using the 18 and 22mm lens if you're doing a lot of real estate photography. When I'm using the 11 and 22mm lens, I'm often finding myself trying to get in the most creative position to be able to capture the whole room, but the 10 and 18mm lens seems to do just a good enough job of being able to capture the whole room without me having to do any kind of special moving around or getting as close to the wall as I can. And like always, guys, if you found this information helpful and enjoyed this review, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to push to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, so your help and your support is always appreciated. But with that being said, guys, I will see y'all in the next video.